Welcome to our Books Summary channel, Explore Books.
Today, we will get a summary of another new book.
Edward Gibbon's The History of Byzantine Empire is considered one of the greatest historical works of all time. Within this vast undertaking, Gibbon also devoted a considerable amount of attention to the Byzantine Empire, which he saw as the successor state to Rome. The Byzantine Empire lasted for over 1,000 years, and Gibbon's account covers the period from the founding of Constantinople in AD 330 to the fall of Constantinople to the Ottoman Turks in 1453. This book consists of 6 volumes, with a total of 71 chapters. The Byzantine Empire is discussed throughout the work, particularly in volumes 3 and 4. Chapter 1, The History of Byzantine Empire, by Edward Gibbon is titled Introduction. In this chapter, Gibbon lays out the foundation for his study of the Byzantine Empire. He begins by noting that the Byzantine Empire was a continuation of the Roman Empire, which Augustus had founded in 27 BC. Gibbon highlights the fact that the Roman Empire was a massive and highly influential state that dominated much of the known world. However, by the 4th century AD, the Roman Empire was beginning to show signs of decline. In response, the Emperor Constantine the Great moved the capital of the empire from Rome to Byzantium, which he renamed Constantinople. Gibbon notes that this move was a significant turning point in the history of the Roman Empire, as it marked the beginning of the Byzantine period. Gibbon goes on to describe the characteristics of the Byzantine Empire. He notes that a Christian state adopted the Greek language and culture. He sees the Byzantine Empire as a continuation of the Roman tradition of government, law, and military power, but with a distinctive Eastern flavor. Gibbon notes that the Byzantine Empire was a highly centralized state with a powerful emperor, a complex bureaucracy, and a well-trained army. He also notes that the Byzantine Empire was a center of culture and learning, with a rich tradition of literature, art, and philosophy. Gibbon highlights the strategic importance of Constantinople, which he calls the capital of the East and the largest and most populous city in the world. He notes that Constantinople was built in a strategic location that allowed it to control the trade routes between Europe and Asia. Gibbon describes the magnificent architecture of Constantinople, including the Hagia Sophia, the Hippodrome, and the Palace of the Caesars. He notes that the city was heavily fortified, with walls that were up to 20 feet thick in places. In conclusion, Chapter 1 of The History of Byzantine Empire by Edward Gibbon provides an introduction to the Byzantine Empire, its origins, and its characteristics. Gibbon emphasizes the importance of Constantinople and the Byzantine Empire's continuation of the Roman tradition. He lays out the groundwork for his detailed study of the Byzantine Empire, which he presents in the following chapters of his monumental work, The History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. Chapter 2, The History of Byzantine Empire, by Edward Gibbon is titled The Extent and Military Force of the Empire in the Age of the Antonines. In this chapter, Gibbon provides a detailed overview of the extent and military power of the Roman Empire during the period of the Antonine emperors, 138–180 AD. Gibbon notes that the Roman Empire had reached its greatest extent during the reigns of Trajan, 98–117 AD, and Hadrian, 117–138 AD, who had expanded the empire to include much of modern-day Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. Gibbon provides a detailed description of the vast territories that were under Roman control during this period, including the provinces of Britannia, Gaul, Hispania, Dacia, Asia, and Africa. He notes that the Roman Empire was a vast and diverse state that encompassed many different peoples, languages, and cultures. Gibbon then turns his attention to the military power of the Roman Empire during the period of the Antonine emperors. He notes that the Roman army was highly organized and well trained, with a complex hierarchy of officers and soldiers. He describes the different types of soldiers in the Roman army, including legionaries, auxiliaries, and cavalry, and provides a detailed description of their equipment, tactics, and training. Gibbon notes that the Roman army was a highly mobile and flexible force that was capable of rapid deployment and rapid movement. He describes the network of roads and forts that connected the various provinces of the empire and allowed the army to move quickly and efficiently. He also notes that the Roman navy was a powerful force that protected the empire's coasts and trade routes. Gibbon concludes the chapter by noting that the Roman Empire was a powerful and highly centralized state that was able to maintain its military and political power over a vast and diverse territory. He sees the Roman Empire as the precursor to the Byzantine Empire, which he will explore in more detail in the following chapters of his work. In summary, Chapter 2 of the History of Byzantine Empire by Edward Gibbon provides a detailed overview of the extent and military power of the Roman Empire during the period of the Antonine emperors. Gibbon describes the vast territories under Roman control and the highly organized and well-trained Roman army, which he sees as the foundation for the Byzantine Empire's military power. Chapter 3 The History of Byzantine Empire by Edward Gibbon is titled The State of Persia After the Restoration of the Monarchy by Artaxerxes. In this chapter, Gibbon provides an overview of the Persian Empire during the reign of Artaxerxes, who restored the monarchy after a period of anarchy and civil war. Gibbon begins the chapter by describing the geography and resources of Persia, noting that it was a wealthy and fertile land that was well suited to agriculture and trade. He notes that Persia had a long and rich history, with a powerful empire that had challenged the Greeks and the Romans in the past. Gibbon then turns his attention to the political and social structure of Persia during the reign of Artaxerxes. He notes that the Persian Empire was an absolute monarchy, with the king holding absolute power over his subjects. He describes the complex hierarchy of Persian society, with different classes and castes that were distinguished by their wealth and status. Gibbon also provides a detailed overview of the Persian military, noting that it was a powerful force that was well trained and well equipped. He describes the Persian cavalry, which was a key component of the army, and notes that the Persians were skilled in siege warfare and had developed sophisticated methods for breaching city walls. Gibbon goes on to describe the religious and cultural traditions of Persia, noting that it was a polytheistic society with a rich tradition of mythology and ritual. He notes that Zoroastrianism was the dominant religion in Persia, and provides a detailed description of its beliefs and practices. Gibbon concludes the chapter by noting that Persia was a powerful and sophisticated society that posed a significant challenge to the Roman Empire. He sees the conflict between Rome and Persia as a defining feature of the late Roman and Byzantine periods and suggests that understanding the nature of the Persian Empire is essential for understanding the history of the Byzantine Empire. In summary, Chapter 3 of the History of Byzantine Empire by Edward Gibbon provides a detailed overview of the Persian Empire during the reign of Artaxerxes. Gibbon describes the political, social, and military structures of Persian society, as well as its religious and cultural traditions. He sees the conflict between Rome and Persia as a key theme in the history of the Byzantine Empire and suggests that understanding the nature of the Persian Empire is essential for understanding the broader context of Byzantine history. Chapter 4 The History of Byzantine Empire by Edward Gibbon is titled The Emperors Decius, Gallus, Aemilianus, Valerian, and Gallienus. In this chapter, Gibbon explores the period of Roman history from the end of the reign of Alexander Severus to the accession of Diocletian. Gibbon begins the chapter by describing the decline of the Roman Empire during this period. He notes that the period was marked by economic instability, political corruption, and military weakness, which allowed barbarian tribes to raid Roman territories and weakened the empire's hold over its provinces. Gibbon then turns his attention to the reigns of the emperors Decius, Gallus, Aemilianus, Valerian, and Gallienus, who he sees as representative of the decline and instability of the Roman Empire during this period. He provides a detailed overview of their reigns, noting their failures and weaknesses, as well as the challenges they faced from barbarian tribes and other external threats. Gibbon also notes the growing influence of the military during this period and the increasing importance of the army in the political life of the empire. He describes the role of the Praetorian Guard, which had become a powerful political force, and the increasing power of the provincial armies. Gibbon concludes the chapter by noting that the decline of the Roman Empire during this period set the stage for the rise of Diocletian and the beginning of the period of the late Roman Empire. He suggests that understanding the weaknesses and failures of the emperors during this period is essential for understanding the broader context of Byzantine history. In summary, Chapter 4 of the History of Byzantine Empire by Edward Gibbon provides an overview of the decline and instability of the Roman Empire during the period from the end of the reign of Alexander Severus to the accession of Diocletian. Gibbon describes the weaknesses and failures of the emperors during this period, as well as the growing influence of the military in the political life of the empire. He sees this period as setting the stage for the rise of Diocletian and the beginning of the period of the late Roman Empire. Chapter 5 The History of Byzantine Empire by Edward Gibbon is titled State of Persia from the accession of Sapor to the extinction of the Sasanian dynasty. In this chapter, Gibbon provides an overview of the Sasanian dynasty in Persia, which rose to power in the 3rd century and ruled Persia until the Muslim conquests in the 7th century. Gibbon begins the chapter by describing the reign of Sapor I, who he sees as a pivotal figure in the history of the Sasanian dynasty. He notes that Sapor I was a strong and effective ruler who expanded the empire's borders and developed a sophisticated system of government and administration. Gibbon then turns his attention to the social and cultural developments of the Sasanian dynasty. He notes that Persia was a rich and sophisticated society, with a highly developed culture and a rich tradition of art, literature, and philosophy. He describes the influence of Zoroastrianism, which he sees as a defining feature of Sasanian society. Gibbon also provides a detailed overview of the military and political structures of the Sasanian dynasty, noting that it was a highly centralized and bureaucratic state with a powerful army and a complex system of taxation and administration. He describes the role of the king, who held absolute power over his subjects, as well as the importance of the nobility and the military in the political life of the empire. Gibbon concludes the chapter by noting the decline of the Sasanian dynasty in the face of external threats, including the Arab invasions of the 7th century. He sees the fall of the Sasanian dynasty as a significant event in the history of the Byzantine Empire, as it paved the way for the rise of the Islamic Caliphate and the beginning of the Arab-Byzantine Wars. In summary, Chapter 5 of the History of Byzantine Empire by Edward Gibbon provides a detailed overview of the Sasanian dynasty in Persia. Gibbon describes the political, social, and cultural developments of Sasanian society, as well as its military and administrative structures. He sees the fall of the Sasanian dynasty as a significant event in the history of the Byzantine Empire and suggests that understanding the context of Sasanian Persia is essential for understanding the broader context of Byzantine history. Chapter 6 The History of Byzantine Empire by Edward Gibbon is titled The Reigns of Philip, Decius, Gallus, Aemilianus, Valerian, and Galilean News. Part 2. This chapter continues the exploration of the decline and instability of the Roman Empire during the period from the end of the reign of Alexander Severus to the accession of Diocletian. Gibbon begins the chapter by providing a brief overview of the reigns of Philip, Decius, Gallus, Aemilianus, Valerian, and Galilean News, which were covered in more detail in the previous chapter. He then turns his attention to the rise of the military during this period, which he sees as a symptom of the decline of the Roman Empire. Gibbon describes the emergence of a series of military leaders who challenged the authority of the emperors and established themselves as de facto rulers of various regions of the empire. He describes the role of figures like Adonithus, who established a powerful state in the east, and Aurelian, who reunited the empire and established himself as a powerful military leader. Gibbon also notes the increasing importance of Christianity during this period and the growing influence of the Christian Church in the political life of the empire. He describes the persecution of Christians under various emperors, including Decius and Valerian, and the emergence of Christian martyrdom as a symbol of resistance against Roman authority. Gibbon concludes the chapter by suggesting that the decline of the Roman Empire during this period was due in large part to a lack of leadership and a failure of political institutions. He sees the emergence of military leaders and the growing influence of Christianity as symptoms of this broader decline and suggests that understanding the weaknesses and failures of the emperors during this period is essential for understanding the broader context of Byzantine history. In summary, Chapter 6 of the History of Byzantine Empire by Edward Gibbon continues the exploration of the decline and instability of the Roman Empire during the period from the end of the reign of Alexander Severus to the accession of Diocletian. Gibbon describes the emergence of military leaders and the growing influence of Christianity during this period and suggests that the decline of the Roman Empire was due in large part to a failure of political leadership and institutions. As a historical account, the history of the Byzantine Empire by Edward Gibbon does not have a traditional climax in the sense of a narrative arc. Instead, the book offers a comprehensive and detailed analysis of the history of the Byzantine Empire, from its origins in the late Roman Empire to the fall of Constantinople in 1453. Throughout the book, Gibbon emphasizes the complexity and richness of Byzantine history, exploring the political, cultural, and religious factors that shaped the development of the empire over more than 1,000 years. He provides detailed accounts of key historical events, such as the reigns of Justinian and Theodora, the rise of the Macedonian dynasty, and the Fourth Crusade. Gibbon's analysis also delves into the social and economic structures of Byzantine society, including the role of the aristocracy, the development of the Orthodox Church, and the impact of trade and commerce on the empire's fortunes. While there is no singular climax in the book, there are several key themes that emerge throughout the text. These include the importance of strong leadership and effective governance in maintaining the stability and prosperity of the empire, as well as the crucial role played by religion and cultural identity in shaping Byzantine society. Overall, the history of the Byzantine Empire offers a comprehensive and detailed account of the history of one of the most significant and influential empires in world history, and its exploration of the complex and multifaceted factors that shaped the development of the Byzantine Empire makes it a valuable resource for historians and scholars.
Thank you for visiting our channel, Explore Books. We hope you found the summary informative and helpful. Please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for more updates. Happy reading!